Well, well, well. Hello, everybody. Tonight, I hope the microphone is not that loud. Tonight, I'm going to continue reading H.G. Wells' Dr. Moreau. I'm gonna read chapter 3 and 4. After that, I'm gonna do a quick uh, story beat writing session, and we'll see how long I can stay after that. Hopefully, I tested the audio before. I recorded myself talking with the background music. It's supposed to be okay. Supposed to be. I guess I know after. Uh, but yeah, I don't think I need to wait too much. So I'm just gonna go straight into it. Chapter 3, titled The Strange Face. We left the cabin and found a man at the companion obstructing our way. He was standing on the ladder with his back to us, peering over the coming of the hatchway. He was, I could see, a misshapen man, short, broad, and clumsy, with a crooked back and a hairy neck, and a head sunk between his shoulders. He was dressed in dark blue and had a particularly thick, coarse black hair. I heard the unseen dogs growl furiously, and forthwith he ducked back, coming into contact with the hand I put out to fend him off from myself. He turned with animal swiftness. In some indefinable way, the black face thus flashed upon me shocked me profoundly. It was a singularly deformed one, the facial part projected, forming something dimly suggestive of a muzzle, and the huge half open mouth showed as big white teeth as I had ever seen in a human mouth. His eyes were bloodshot at the edges, with scarcely a rim of white round the hazel pupils. There was a curious glow of excitement in his face. "Confound you!" said Montgomery. "Why the devil don't you get out of the way?" The black-faced man started aside without a word. I went up to the companion, staring at him instinctively as I did so. Montgomery stayed at the foot for a moment. "You have no business here, you know," he said in a deliberate tone. "Your place is forward." The black-faced man cowered. "They won't have me forward." He spoke so slowly, with a queer, hoarse quality in his voice. "Won't have you forward. said Montgomery in a menacing voice, but I tell you to go. He was on the brink of saying something further, then looked up at me suddenly and followed me up the ladder. I had paused halfway through the hatchway, looking back, still astonished beyond measure at the grotesque ugliness of his black-faced creature. I had never beheld such a repulsive and extraordinary face before, and yet, if the contradiction is credible, I experienced at the same time an odd feeling that in some way I had already encountered exactly the features and gestures that now amazed me. Afterwards, it occurred to me that probably I had seen him as I was lifted aboard, and yet that scarcely satisfied my suspicion of a previous acquaintance. Yet, how one could set eyes on so singular face and yet have forgotten the precise occasion, passed my imagination. Montgomery's movement to follow me released my attention, and I turned and looked about me at the flush deck of the little schooner. I was already half prepared by the sounds I had heard for what I saw. Suddenly, I never beheld a deck so dirty. It was littered with scraps of carrots, shreds green shreds of green stuff, and indescribable filth. Fastened by chains to the mainmast were a number of grisly staghounds, who now began leaping and barking at me, and the and by the mizzen a huge puma was cramped in a little iron cage far too small even to give it turning room. Further under the starboard bulwark were big hutches containing a number of rabbits, and a solitary llama was squeezed in a mere box of a cage forward. The dogs were muzzled by leather straps. The only human being on deck was a gaunt and silent sailor at the wheel. The patched and dirty spankers were tense before the wind, and up aloft the little ship seemed carrying every sail she had. The sky was clear, the sun midway down the western sky. Long waves, capped by the breeze with froth, were running with us. We went past the steersman to the traff, taffrail, and saw the water come foaming under the stern and the bubbles go dancing and vanishing in her wake. I turned and surveyed the unsavory length of the ship. Is this an ocean menagerie? Said I. Looks like it, said Montgomery. What are these beasts for? Merchandise? Curios? Does the captain think he's going to sell them somewhere in the South Seas? It looks like it, doesn't it? Said Montgomery, and turned towards the wake again. Suddenly we heard a yelp and a volley of furious blasphemy from the companion hatchway, and the deformed man with the black face came up hurriedly. He was immediately followed by a heavy, red-haired man in white cap. At the sight of the former, the staghounds, who had all tired of barking at me by this time, became furiously excited, howling and leaping against their chains. The black hesitated before them, and this gave the red-haired man time to come up with him and deliver a tremendous blow between the shoulder blades. The poor devil went down like a fell ox and rolled in the dirt among the furiously excited dogs. It was lucky for him that they were muzzled. The red-haired man gave a yelp of exultation and stood staggering, and as it seemed to me in serious danger of either going backwards down the companion hatchway or forwards upon his victim. So soon as the second man had appeared, Montgomery had started forward. "Steady on there!" he cried, in a tone of remonstrance. A couple of sailors appeared. On the forecastle. The black-faced man, howling in a singular voice, rolled about under the feet of the dogs. No one attempted to help him. The brutes did their best to worry him, butting their muzzles at him. There was a quick dance of their gray figure bodies over the clumsy, prostrate figure. The sailors forward shouted as though it was admirable sport. Montgomery gave an angry exclamation and went striding down the deck, and I followed him. The black-faced man scrambled up and staggered forward, going and leaning over the bulwark by the main shrouds, where he remained, panting and glaring over his shoulder at the dogs. The red-haired man laughed a satisfied laugh. "Look here, Captain," said Montgomery, with his lips a little accentuated, gripping the elbows of the red-haired man. "This won't do." I stood behind Montgomery. The captain came half round and regarded him with the dull of solemn eyes of a drunken man. "What won't do?" he said, and added, after looking sleepily into Montgomery's face for a minute, "Blasted sawbones." With a sudden movement he shook his arm free, and after two ineffectual attempts stuck his freckled fist into his side pockets. "The man's a passenger," said Montgomery. "I'd advise you to keep your hands off him." "Go to hell," said the captain loudly. He suddenly turned and staggered towards the side. "Do what I like in my own ship," he said. I think Montgomery might have left him then, seeing the brute was drunk, but he only turned a shade paler, and followed the captain to the bulwarks. "Look you here, Captain," he said. "That man of mine is not to be ill-treated. He has been hazed ever since he came aboard." For a minute, alcoholic fumes kept the captain speechless. "Blasted sawbones," was all he considered necessary. I could see that Montgomery had one of those slow, pertinacious tempers that will warm day after day to a white heat, and never again cool to forgiveness. And I saw too that this quarrel had been some time growing. "The man's drunk," said I, perhaps officiously. "You'll do no good." Montgomery gave an ugly twist to him, an ugly twist to his drooping lip. "He's always drunk. Do you think that excuses his assaulting his passengers?" "My ship," the captain began, waving his hand unsteadily towards the cages, "was a clean ship. Look at it now." It was certainly anything but clean. Crew, continued the captain. Clean, respectable crew. You agreed to take the beast. I wish I never set eyes on your infernal island. What the devil? One beast for an island like that. Then that man of yours understood he was a man. He's a lunatic. And he hadn't no business aft. Aft? Do you think the whole damn ship belongs to you? Your sailors began to haste the poor devils as soon as he came aboard. That's just what he is, a devil, an ugly devil. My man can't stand him. I can't stand him. None of us can stand him. Nor you either. Montgomery turned away. You leave that man alone, anyhow, he said, nodding his head as he spoke. But the captain meant to quarrel now. He raised his voice. If he comes this end of the ship again, I'll cut his insides out. I will cut his insides out. I tell you. Cut out his blasted insides. Who are you to tell me what I'm to do? I tell you I'm captain of this ship, captain and owner. I am the law here. I tell you, the law and the prophets. I bargained to take a man and his attendant to and from Arica and bring back some animals. I never bargained to carry a mad devil and a silly sawbones. Well, never mind what he called Montgomery. I saw the latter take a step forward and interpose. He's drunk, said I. The captain began some abuse even fouler than the last. Shut up, I said, turning on him sharply. For I had seen danger in Montgomery's eyes white face. With that, I brought the downpour on myself. However, I was glad to avert what was uncommonly near a scuffle, even at the price of the captain's drunken ill will. I do not think I have ever heard quite so vile language come in a continuous stream from any man's lips before, though I have frequented eccentric company before. I found some of it hard to endure, though I am a mild-tempered man, but certainly, when I told the captain to shut up, I had forgotten that I was merely a bit of human flotsam, cut off from my resources, and with my fare unpaid, a mere casual dependent on the bounty, a speculative enterprise of the ship. He reminded me of it with considerable vigor, but at any rate I prevented a fight. Chapter 4. At the schooner's rail. That night, land was sighted after sundown, and the schooner hove to. Montgomery intimated that was his destination. Intimated that was his destination. He was so far to see any details. It seemed to me that simply a low leashing patch of dim blue in the uncertain blue-gray sea. An almost vertical streak of smoke went up from it to the sky. The captain was not on deck when it was sighted. After he had vented his wrath on me, He has staggered below, and I understand he went to sleep on the floor of his own cabin. The mate practically assumed the command. He was the gaunt individual we had seen at the wheel. Apparently, he was in an evil temper with Montgomery. He took not the slightest notice of either of us. We dined with him in a sulky silence. After a few ineffectual efforts on my part to talk, it struck me too that the men regarded my companion and his animals in a singular, unfriendly manner. I found Montgomery very reticent, I don't know, reticent about his purpose with these creatures and about his destination. And though I was sensible of a growing curiosity as to both, I did not press him. He remained talking on the quarterdeck until the sky was thick with stars, except for an occasional sound in the yellow lit forecastle and a movement of the animals now and then. The night was very still. The puma lay crouched together, watching us with shining eyes, a black heap in the corner of his cage. The dog seemed to be asleep. Montgomery produced some cigars. He talked to me of London, in a tone of half painful reminiscence, asking all kinds of questions about changes that had taken place. He spoke like a man who had loved his life there, and had been suddenly and irrevocably cut off from it. I gossiped as well as I could of this and that. All the time the strangest of him was shaping itself in my mind. And as I talked, I peered at his odd, pallid face in the dim light of the binnacle lantern behind me. Then I looked out at the darkling sea, where the dimness of the little island was hidden. This man, it seems to me, had come out of immensity merely to save my life. Tomorrow he would drop over the side and vanish again out of my existence. Even had it been under commonplace circumstances, it would have made me thoughtful. But in the first place was the singularity of an educated man living on this unknown little island, and coupled with the extraordinary nature of his luggage. I found myself repeating the captain's questions. What did he want with these beasts? Why, too, had he pretended they were not his when I had remarked about them at first? Then again, in his personal attendant, there was a bizarre quality which had impressed me profoundly. These circumstances threw a haze of mystery round the man. They laid hold of my imagination and hampered my tongue. Towards midnight, our talk of London died away, and we stood side by side, leaning over the bulwarks and staring dreamily over the silent, starlit sea, each perusing his own thoughts. It was the atmosphere for sentiment, and I began upon my gratitude. If I may say, said I, after a time, you have saved my life. Chance, he answered, just chance. I prefer to make my thanks to the accessible agent. Thank no one. You had the need, and I had the knowledge, and I injected and fed you as much as I might, I might have collected a specimen. I was bored and wanted something to do. If I'd been jaded that day, or hadn't liked your face, well, It's a curious question where you would have been now. This dampened my mood a little. At any rate, I began. It's a chance, I tell you, he interrupted, as everything is in a man's life. Only the asses won't see it. Why am I here now, an outcast from civilization, instead of being a happy man enjoying all the pleasures of London? Simply because 11 years ago I lost my head for 10 minutes on a foggy night. He stopped. Yes, said I. That's all. We relapsed into silence. Precisely, he laughed. There's something in this starlight that loosens my tongue. I'm an ass, and just somehow I would like to tell you. Whatever you tell me, you may rely upon my keeping to myself, if that's it. He was on the point of beginning, and then shook his head doubtfully. Don't, said I. It is all the same to me. After all, it is better to keep your secret. There's nothing gained but a little relief if I respect your confidence. If I don't, well, he grunted undecidedly. I felt I had him at a disadvantage, had caught him in the mood of indiscretion, and to tell the truth, I was not curious to learn what might have driven a young medical student out of London. I have an imagination. I shrugged my shoulders and turned away. Over the trail leant a silent black figure, watching the stars. It was Montgomery's strange attendant. It looked over its shoulder quickly with my movement, and then looked away again. It may seem a little thing to you, perhaps, but it came like a sudden blow to me. The only light near us was a lantern at the wheel. The creature's face was turned from one brief instant out of the dimness of the stern towards this illumination, and I saw that the eyes had glanced at me shone with pale green light. I did not know then that a reddish luminosity, at least, is not uncommon on human eyes. The thing came to me as a stark inhumanity. That black figure with its eyes of fire struck down through all my adult thoughts and feelings. And for a moment the forgotten horrors of childhood came back to my mind. Then the effect passed as it had come. A, an uncouth black figure of a man, a figure of no particular import, hung over the trail against the starlight, and I found Montgomery was speaking to me. I'm thinking of turning in, then, said he, if you had enough of this. I answered him incongruously. We went below, and he wished me good night at the door of my cabin. That night I had some very unpleasant dreams. The waning moon rose late. Its light struck a ghostly white beam across my cabin, and made an ominous shape of the planking on my bunk. Then the staghounds woke and began howling and baying, so that I dreamt fitfully and scarcely slept until the approach of dawn. Very well, so he's getting to the island now. I assume, let me check, that they're going to arrive at the island on the next chapter. Is the music? I cannot hear the music. Give me a moment. Ba-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da. It's a good night. What are you guys doing on this Monday night? As you can see, I read a little bit. I write a little bit. That's my hobby. What are you doing? Let's see. I remember how this started. The story beats are Dolores finds the matrix and presents them to her boss. They think about how to solve and panic gives them the idea of marketing. They find Elaine, who is a marketing agent, and explain the situation. After making sure she is not hallucinating, she accepts the job. Hallucination. Let's see. First, is to find why people are not choosing hell anymore. They find out that people just don't think about hell much these days, which presents an easy first step. Tell people about hell. Then the actual marketing begins. They start to compile info about how horrible human life already is, and write ads that make hell look good in comparison. Examples are: there is no rent due in hell. All student loans are forgiven after you make it, after you die. That type of thing. They start to see a slow progression in souls and go harder. Now their ads are in every street and TV channel, in YouTube videos, etc. It starts to get more traction, and they create content to show the facilities. New souls participate in games, in game shows. They make a lot of short videos. Their popularity grows. Here we can insert pain and panic as the hosts or characters in their videos. like commentators. They simply grow above the just marketing and become a full content creation uh, business. Eventually, they see that the souls just keep coming. So much, in fact, that the place starts to get full. Now they have a different problem. The facilities are not enough for the influx of souls. If there is no space, the souls would stay in lingo and eventually go somewhere else. They need to manage their own success. Okay. Okay. Hmm. I don't know what to do after that. They go from one extreme to the other, and how they make sure that the souls keep coming, but I guess they need to stop the souls. Ironically, they start working with uh, other deities or humans so that the souls continue coming to hell, but they also have other options. They provide their services to other deities who will pay some royalty or tax for their help. This creates a good business and stabilizes soul influx. Uh, in the end, Elaine has nothing else to add because the system runs by itself for now. She now has to choose her own afterlife. Would she want to go to hell? Even though she's basically working for them, or she has been working for them this entire time? I guess that has to be a decision. Either I go with she stays, or I go with her saying goodbye because the group itself says, okay, you don't deserve to be in hell. Uh, so let's work a way to find another afterlife for you. I guess she could go to one of the other afterlives of the other deities that they have business with, or they might talk to the big boss, capital G God, and see if she can uh, go to heaven. But I think the irony would be that since she has helped hell get so many souls, God says you need to go back to earth and finish living your life. Okay. They try to get her to heaven, but God says that she needs to go back to earth and finish her life and earn her way to heaven. Obviously, this is supposedly you don't earn your way to heaven, Jesus, all that stuff, but in this story you kind of choose your own afterlife or you earn your own afterlife. I think these story beats are decent. I think we have the story from beginning to end, and that is decent. So let's go through them and see what we got. So we start in hell. Dolores, the assistant secretary to the devil, finds the metrics and presents them to her boss. They think about how to solve the problem, and panic uh, gives them the idea of marketing because humans use marketing for everything. They find Elaine, who is a marketing agent, and explain the situation. After making sure she's not hallucinating, she's not crazy, she accepts the job. The first thing is to find why people are not choosing hell anymore. They find out that people just don't think about hell much these days, which presents an easy first step. Tell people about hell. The actual marketing begins. They start to compile info about how horrible human life already is. They write ads to make hell look good in comparison, like there's no rent due in hell, or student loans are forgiven after you die. and they start to see a slow progression in souls and go harder into the ads. Now their ads are in every street, every TV channel, and YouTube videos, and it starts to get more traction, and they create content to show their facilities. The new souls participate in game shows. They make a lot of short videos like we see today, and their popularity grows. Here we can insert pain and panic as the host of characters or characters in the videos, like commentators or something like that, influencers. They simply grow above the just marketing and become a full content creator business. Eventually, they see that the souls just keep coming, so much in fact that the place starts to get full. Now they have a different problem. The facilities are not enough for the influx of souls. If there's no space, the soul goes to Lingo, eventually goes somewhere else at random, and that's not what we want. Souls need to be designated by some metric, like either you earn it or you chose it. They need to manage their own success because a lot of souls are coming to help. They need to stop the souls. Ironically, they start working with other deities or humans so that the souls continue to come, but they also have other options. They provide their services to other deities who will pay some form of royalty or tax or something for their help. And they create a good business and stabilize the soul influx. In the end, Elaine has nothing else to do because the system now is running by itself without she doing much, and she has to choose her own afterlife. The team says, "You have helped us a lot. You don't deserve to be in hell. Let's try to get you to heaven." But God sees her and says, "No, you have helped so many souls go to hell, and which is good for the stabilizing of the afterlife, but you doomed souls to hell. So you have to go back to earth and finish your life as a mortal and earn your way to heaven or to wherever she ends up being." And that's like the end. She says goodbye, goes back to the human world, and the afterlife and all the other deities are now working together in a content creation marketing stuff. I think that's pretty solid. I think that is actually pretty solid. And let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, let's not forget where all these came from. Let's see if I can put it here. Let's see if I can find the video. Game changer. Here we go. Let's see if I can. This is where it all. Let me put it. Where it all started. The inspiration to this.
Brennan.
Yes.
5 different hell yeahs and their respective contexts.
Hell yeah. And that's your dad seeing you when you've discovered where his secret biker club meets. And then the next one is hell yeah. And that is someone with a teleporter that you're asking where it can go to. Okay. The next one is and that one is when your surf instructor it lives in a little acorn house.
Here it comes.
And then the next one is going to be hell. which is the devil's new ad campaign. And then the last one is going to be hell yeah, which is the response when I ask Gandalf if I could hang out with him and the other wizards.
Brennan.
Yeah, that little bit inspired me writing this. That was the entire thing, just a bit from Brennan, just a spark, and the story just flew in my head. The places that I find inspiration are amazing to me. Uh, well, we have been here for a little bit, and I read 2 chapters, wrote all the beats for this story. I had a good time, and I think we'll leave it here. I'll see if I can come back on Wednesday or Friday. Adult Life will let me know. For now, thank you for joining, and I'll see you on the next video.